Hello everyone, and as promised, today I'm going to talk about the CW television show Riverdale. Now, this is a show which I got to know when it was released because I used to read a lot of Archie comics when I was a kid, and I was very curious to know what the show would be like. And the first season was kind of a shocker, but then I was always unsure about how I liked the show, but I still went on watching it. I never quit it, and it's in the fifth season now. And I kind of wait for the new episode that's dropped in every week. Today, I will be dwelling upon my feelings for this show. And I don't really know how I feel about the show, so maybe towards the end of this video, I would have some kind of clarity that what I actually feel about this show. I know there are a lot of people who fire that show like anything, and it's something which a lot of people say is really not up to the mark in terms of writing and everything. But I got down to watching the show because when I was a kid, Archie comics were the thing. To begin with, the show is unlike anything the comics were. In fact, if you really ask me, apart from the names, there is nothing at all that links this show to the Archie comics that we used to have back in the day. So coming back to the first season, that I think is definitely the best season of the whole show that they have made as yet, because somehow things are really in place. The characters were so dramatically different from how we had always imagined them to. The place Riverdale was unlike anything that we wanted it to be. And it was actually, like they have in Stranger Things, a world upside down. So it's Riverdale's upside down, if you really ask me. And it had a degree of intrigue to it. So it pulls you in. And the first season, even plot-wise and story-wise, was pretty much in place. But after season 1, it just became a simple narration of scandals, which was also fun up till a time. But then, I'm sorry to say this, but the writing took a turn like you would not want it to, and nothing made sense. There are so many episodes. I don't want to get into a deep dive here, but there are so many episodes in which there are so many story loops which never get concluded. There are so many actions by so many characters which make no sense whatsoever. But still, that show somehow has this quality to just keep pulling you to itself, which is really hard for me to understand. But the few things that I have identified, what I like about the show are, one, definitely the way they have created the whole town and the kind of time frame they have set the whole story in. It's something which is very unreal because there's a very clear mix of the present and the past. So you see some elements which come into the show right from the 50s or the 60s. There are certain things which come right from the 80s or the 90s, and there are certain things which are very contemporary, very very much present in the world that we live in today. So that's something which gives a very interesting, almost enigmatic feeling to the whole show, which I think is one thing which I enjoy while I watch the show. And second, the performances are definitely up to the mark, I would say. And it's really fun to watch those characters play the things which are so ridiculous, but somehow they portray those ideas so well and they portray those emotions so well that, it really is amusing to see that, someone is there believing in the whole thing and delivering the kind of performance that they are. The thing that does not work at all for me in the show are the musical episodes that they keep throwing in once in a while. Those are actually the episodes which I almost skip and always fail to enjoy. And many times even the episodes look so out of the place that you watch them and you feel that this actually does not look like the show that we've been watching. And I felt this very strongly when I watched the latest episode. I just happened to watch it yesterday. Episode number 11 of season number 5. They go on with Hiram Lodge's backstory. And they start with, this very high energy montage of Hiram Lodge. And then they go like every villain has an origin story and this is his, and so on and so forth. And just looked so out of the place. It didn't look as if I was watching an episode of Riverdale. And that's probably something that works in the favor of the show, because it is so strange, it is so weird, it is so out of place at times that you kind of want to see that what have they done this time, and how can someone even improve and accept to do something like this, because these are big shows which have high production value and huge teams working behind them, and there are a lot of approvals that need to be taken before a go ahead for the story is given. So it's just so amusing to see all of that. I think my favorite out of place and ridiculous scene for this whole series right now is when that one faculty, that one professor in that Stonewall school or college, whatever it was, that professor just jumps out of the window saying that, "I'm sorry, Jughead, I couldn't help you." I think that has to go down in history as the most ridiculous scene ever made in any film or any TV show whatsoever, because I have seen so many low budget B grade or C grade films, and that particular scene in terms of writing has no competition whatsoever. It's so, I'm sorry to say, simply outrightly bad. Also, it was very interesting to see that the whole Archieverse seems to be coming back to life all over again after almost vanishing and after almost experiencing a complete dead end, if you might call it, because there was a time when that bright, happy-go-lucky kind of a treatment for the whole comic series was not working, and they actually decided to have this series called Death of Archie, where they actually killed Archie, and then they came up with some alternative setups as well. And then after that, somehow over the years, they inverted everything, and then we had this show, and now it's really interesting to see that Archie Comics is making a comeback. There is this series called Afterlife with Archie, which is something of a zombie setup that they have. Then there is this thing called Jughead Hunger, in which Jughead is a werewolf. And then we have Vampironica, in which Veronica is a vampire. And of course, we have The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a graphic novel which I'm reading right now, and it is actually a lot of fun. So there's this whole revival that the Archie comics have had in the recent past. Also, it was very heartening to see that, they're coming up with young adult novelization also now. Set in Riverdale, there's a set of novels called Riverdale. And then we have Werewolf in Riverdale, which I'm reading currently, which is also, in terms of writing, a lot better than the show. Because I think they have to do that, because bad writing cannot work in a novel or written format as it can work probably in an audiovisual format. So here they are kind of, setting things right in terms of the writing. So it's really good to see all of these. Alright guys, so this is basically it for Riverdale, and see you next time. Stay healthy, stay safe, keep reading, keep watching. Cheers.